Not only can it be kind of tough to try to find someone who fits your job description these days, once you've hired someone, how do you as a leader get them to want to work hard, want to do the best job? Let's talk about that now. With us today is Lyndsay Dowd, a seasoned business coach with 25 years in sales and leadership. She's recognized as a top 10 coach by Apple News. Take a look. The name of her new book is Top Down Culture, Revolutionizing Leadership to Drive Those Results. Known as a thought leader in leadership development and even transforming the cultures inside corporations. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Dee. Thanks for having me.
You've got the answers. Now, I'll start with start with leadership. How does poor leadership, how do bad bosses impact the financial health of a business, the bottom line?
I mean, in so many ways. I mean, the first and most obvious is attrition. When people don't quit companies, they quit their bosses. And when you are a leader and you're not leading with your heart and you're not inspiring the best out of people, you're creating an environment that's not safe for people to perform. So they just won't do their best work. Despite your best efforts, despite your demands or your micromanagement. So it can be really detrimental and your people will be really unhappy and ultimately won't stay. That's probably the biggest cost.
In your years of working with these leaders, are they generally willing to accept that, hey, I'm part of this problem?
So that's a good question, Dee. I don't know that everybody is willing to accept that. But I think one thing that I love to remind people is nobody has all the answers. And when you
Okay.
take on a new job, you can't possibly know everything. Nobody does. So giving
Oh,
yourself that grace and asking your team, I have a friend who uses this quote that I love. When you take on a new team, you're entering someone else's house. When you ask them what's working, what's not working, how
mhm.
can I improve upon what we've already got, you're on your way. But coming in and saying there's a new sheriff in town might not be the best way to start.
I hope certain people are listening. Okay, that's good information. Now, what are some of the practical steps that can be taken to kind of minimize the negative effects of a bad boss?
Well, I think the first thing to remember is trust is your currency.
Okay.
And building trust is critical as a leader. So taking that time to spend with one-on-ones with your team and really understand who they are, what they love, what they hate, what they're good at. You're in a position to advocate for them. And when you can advocate for them, you can help them seek a career path that suits them.
Mhm.
But every time you do this, you're creating a sense of loyalty. You're creating a sense of compassion and empathy, and you're seeing them for who they are. And sharing the spotlight and letting them have their moment to shine will always make you look good and
Mhm.
make you a much more generous leader. It's really, really important to build that trust because that's the foundation for everything.
Is that what you call the psychological safety on the job,
That's a
creating
part of
an
it.
atmosphere where
Yeah,
someone feels like I do belong here?
it's a part of it. And
Mhm. Okay.
psychological safety gives people the space to try things they've never done before. Someone
Oh,
said to me
yes.
once in an interview, they said, I thought psychological safety means everyone can mail it in. No, it's the opposite. It's the total opposite. It's
Mhm.
really saying, I want you to succeed. I've got your back. Now fly. So
Mm.
when you give people that space, they're going to build new best practices. They're going to try new things. They're going to innovate, collaborate, communicate, all the good things. And when you have to deliver those tougher messages because you've been a heart-centered leader, it's a little easier to take. They can
Mm.
understand it a little bit more because they understand that you're acting from your heart and not just delivering some callous message.
Mm. Okay, I'll go back to the business perspective, the owner's perspective. How do
Sure.
they know that their return on investment is working? How do you get them to see that yes, I am getting good output from these people?
So the first thing to remember is I wrote this book because I understand that when you build good culture, it drives results. Your people perform. So there's a point to this. It's not just let's feel good and kumbaya and hold hands. We
Mm.
really want people to flourish. And when you create that space for them to do that, they perform. And I did this quarter after quarter, year after year with all of my teams because we built this safe environment. If you're noticing on your all hands calls or your team calls very low engagement, very few people raising their hands, few people saying, hey, I want to do something, I want to try something new, you might have an issue. And it's really important to check in with the people that are in the trenches to hear what they're saying. There's a lot of ways to measure this, but I think people think because culture is a feeling, they might not think it's easy to measure. And there's a lot of ways to do it.
Thank you so much for being with us, Lyndsay. Her book is Top Down Culture, Revolutionizing Leadership to Drive Results.